common misconception is that every page on your website should be focused on generating and converting leads. Gaetano DiNardi, a growth advisor for companies like Gong, Cognism, and more, proposes better ways to pull people into your orbit using value-led content. By understanding the intent of your website visitors, you can create and distribute content that delivers value to them. In episode 55 of the Marketing Powerups show, you learn, first of all, the value-led content strategy. Second, Gaetano's declared intent audit process for B2B websites. Third, leading metrics that indicate website visitors are getting value. And four, a career power-up that has accelerated Gaetano's career. Before we get started, I created a free Powerups cheat sheet that you can download and apply Gaetano's value-based content strategy to your business right away. Get it now at marketingpowerups.com or find that link in the show notes and description. Are you ready? Let's go.
Marketing Powerups. Ready? Go! Here's your host, Ramli John.
I'm excited for you to come on here to talk about different levels of intent that buyers have when they come on a B2B website. You've talked a lot about this. You've actually talked about how when B2B executives, they're often they have this goal in mind that when all users who come to the website should convert into leads. And you're like, wait 1 second. Like, you wrote this post about why that's wrong thinking, especially with B2B executives. For people who haven't read it, I'm going to link it in the show notes and description, that LinkedIn post you wrote. But I'm curious why you don't think, well, it makes sense to some people, but like, why shouldn't every page in your site be focused on converting leads?
I think tech CMOs are starting to wake up to the fact that there's just a lot of, if you think of all the things that would clutter up demand gen traffic reporting sheet, as you grow, you're going to have the following kinds of traffic just cluttering up the actual growth portion of it versus non-growth. So things like customer login, career seekers, competitor lurkers, analysts, all that stuff. It's just a lot of clutter, right? So the idea of a blended conversion rate, it bothers me just because of that. And as you grow, there's a huge amount of that comes through to the site. The other part of it is that so much of it is exploratory. Very, very little of it is convert. And when it is convert, it's often not the path you might expect. It's often homepage demo convert, or homepage to price and page end checkout, sign up for a demo, and your classic B2B model, assuming it's not product led or something like that. So with all that being said, it's like, how do you explain a 30-second time on site with a conversion path of 1 page or 2 pages? The most common conversion path is homepage checkout or homepage pricing checkout. The reason that is because they've done all that work somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like, they've went to review sites, they've talked to peers, they've went to Reddit or whatever community groups are out there. And they do a lot of the offsite research. When you look at the product and feature pages on a corporate site, a lot of it is just, let me figure out what this is. Let me get deeper into it. And maybe, there's enough there to pique the interest of a person when they're like, yeah, I'm still in the evaluation stage. But generally speaking, most people don't fill out that form until they're like 80 to 90% sure. It's rarely the case that you get somebody filling out that demo form that's just like, yeah, I'm just kind of, really early in my exploration phase and I just want to learn more about it. That doesn't really happen anymore. So that part of the buyer journey has to actually come from the website. It shouldn't be, let's just give them a little bit and force them to talk to sales to get all the deeper insight. It should actually be the opposite. Let's give them as much value as possible through the site and only make them talk to sales for the end portion of it, when they just have some very deep, intimate question or some very complex question about how a integration might work or something, like technical details, right? Like don't make them get on the phone with sales when you could have given them that information through the site. So anyway, getting back to it, it's like when you have all those complex factors at play, it's very tough to look at like a main product page on a site and give it a conversion rate, grade it that way. It's just very tough to do that given all the different kinds of intent that's going to that page. And it's just not the place where people buy. It's not like it's an e-commerce product page. They don't buy there. They're not looking at dimensions of a shoe width. So that's the thing I'm trying to instill with the companies I work with, changing thinking in that regard. And, not, blowing smoke in terms of reporting. Like, yeah, we're going to make it a conversion rate improvement project on this page that has mostly zero buying intent traffic. It's like, what are we doing? So that's
Right.
where it all comes from.
You made a good point there. I think people want to educate themselves. It might be because of the culture of, well, this maybe it's a misconception of like, if I fill out this form, I'm gonna be bombarded by like text messages and calls and emails from the sales team, and I want to avoid that by making sure that I know as much as possible before I even submit. And I love how you put it. Like, I have a question that is not answered on the site, and I'm like 80 to 90% ready to buy, and that's when I'm gonna fill out the form. Is exactly what I heard you say there. What did you say?
Yes. That is the modern way that people are buying.
Hmm.
They may even engage with a chat widget on the site, assuming it's live. I've been seeing more. There's a new category that's coming to life called co-browsing software. Have you heard of this?
Co-browsing software? No. What is this?
Co-browsing software.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you can, without scheduling a meeting and going through all that hassle,
Yeah.
a widget will appear on the site that says, have a question, video chat us right.
What? Interesting.
Yeah. Within 30 seconds, you will be on a screen share with a sales rep, and they can share their screen and take you into the demo environment and give you a lightning demo right there on the spot. Of course, it's not, a super customized and tailored demo to their specific situation, but it's just enough to say, here's what inside the platform looks like. What kind of question do you have that wasn't answered on the site? Or you can share your screen and take me through what you want to go through, and I'll, answer it that way. So co-browsing software is something that I've actually been nerding out on and looking into quite a lot recently. Yeah, because the thing is, think about how much effort would have to go into a B2B sales motion to get to that point. First of all, they make you talk to a qualifier, SDR, inbound SDR. You have to get qualified. Right? It's annoying, right? You just have a question. That SDR is probably not going to know the answer to that question. Right. Then it has to set you up with an AE. Then you have to get to the point to when you talk to the AE and you're like, look, I just kind of really have a specific thing I want to know about. Yeah, I don't really need all this stuff just yet. It takes too long to where you could just co-browse and get to a specific thing. How does this work? How does that work? Right. So that's something I've been looking into.
And that lowers the barrier. Like, I'm guessing that co-browsing, you don't have to like fill out a form, or maybe it will be after, but it's like right there and then, and like you're getting your questions answered by somebody in the back end, and you're like sharing a screen with that.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of fill out form, give us information, then we'll show you. It's we'll show you now, and then if the call goes well, oh, by the way, can we keep in touch? What's your info? Right, that kind of thing. So, it's a different mechanism. It's a different mechanism. I would love to see more B2B websites go down this path. The one thing I worry about is the law of shitty click-through effect, where Drift and Intercom, as soon as the first set of companies started using that little bot, you notice how everybody started using it.
Right.
And it just became like, this is the next thing that everybody's doing. It's just now part of the game.
Right.
As soon as everybody starts doing co-browsing, then that's going to make, right now it looks like Drift and Intercom are dinosaurs compared to certain, but True. It's only a matter of time before everybody starts using it.
Yeah.
And then Drift and Intercom develop co-browsing capability. And then co-browsing is the next thing.
Yeah.
But until then, if you can be one of the companies that are ahead of that curve,
Yeah.
deploy co-browsing, I think you'll have a leg up in the game.
100%. Have you been checking out tools around this, or this has to be like home-brewed, home-coded, or are there like plug-and-play third-party tools that are enabling this? Because so cool. I'm curious. How
Yeah, there's definitely softwares and tools out
Oh.
there that are doing this. Yeah. If you just go on Google and search like co-browsing tools, co-browsing software, you'll see a whole list of them.
Mm.
They're out there. They're out there. So I'm actually surprised that it hasn't caught on faster. Like I actually learned about this by looking at like websites in different verticals. So I was looking at like car accident Miami lawyer websites.
Okay.
Not that I was in one.
Just research.
Yeah, just research. Yeah, I look at industries like that, you know, and I'm like, the urgency behind this traffic gotta be
Really
high.
Yeah.
So conversion is the name of the game.
Right.
These sites are probably the masters of conversion,
Mm.
given how valuable the traffic is, how much volume of it is, and how valuable it is. So I started looking at these like car accident Miami, personal injury Miami, like personal injury this, slip and fall. And I'm like, man, the conversion tactics on these sites are really good.
Mm.
Really good. Now, not all of them would be applicable to like B2B, but the ideas that you'll get by looking at stuff like that kind of opens your brain. And that's where I saw co-browsing. Like, have a quick question, call us. You think you might have a case? Call us. So instead of of course they have the forum option, but they also have like call us. The other thing they have a lot of is click to call, which we don't really do that enough on B2B.
We
like,
don't.
in fact, some B2B sites have a phone number, you call it and it goes nowhere. Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
What's your take on it, man?
I love it. It's like I thought you were gonna say there's this whole boom around product like out of app product tours where like you can play around with the product outside of it. I know I forgot which product is jellyfish or something like that. I know they're starting to implement it. But
yeah,
like this
Kyle
approach-
Lacey's company.
Yeah, like Novatic, like a bunch of other tools that allows you to create product tours where people can click around even before they sign up for the product or free trial. This is like next level, like product led, because like you're giving value even before they sign up and even before they commit. So like this is such a great example of give value before you pretty much value led approach to sales, essentially.
Absolutely, man. I believe that we will eventually see the day where expensive B2B software products don't even really need too many engagements with sales. Unless there's a super complex deployment where there's a lot of use cases like internal and external and stuff like that. For something like the ABM software, that should be almost fully plug and play.
You're right. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's my take.
That's a good take. I can imagine that. I think it's gearing more and more towards that, especially like if you think about the last like 5-10 years. I think the power has shifted from salespeople having like all the information, and now it's shifting more and more towards buyers. And this is like bringing it to a new level where like, just show me what I want to know right now without having to talk to your necessarily jumping on a call with your sales team.
Dude, absolutely, man. I mean, think about outbound sales.
Yeah.
And where we are today. Most of the calls, right? Assuming that you hit the right ICP, you hit the decision maker or a person who's relevant. The call script is good. You got good connect rates. Most of what you're going to hear is this. Oh, thank you. That is a really compelling offer, but I just don't have an active project right now. Maybe hit me up later. You're also going to hear a lot of, oh no, we're good with our current provider, or we're locked in actually with a long-term contract with your competitor. Maybe when it's over or up for renewal, we'll give you guys a look. That may be 1 to 2 years down the road. So the thing with outbound sales is like you have so much of that, yeah, not right now.
Right.
it's kind of reflective of the same thing with websites. It's like, yeah, maybe not right now. I'm just like checking. So that's the challenge.
Yeah, that is true. I'm gonna go look up some what did you call it? Cross browsing software.
Co-browsing.
Co-browsing. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm surprised
co-browsing.
you don't have a recommendation and an affiliate link already ready to go.
Dude, I need one, man. I need to hit this affiliate game hard.
That's funny, dude. Hey, you're really talking about like being value led here from the sales team. What can like marketing and content do to like enable more of that co-browsing experience? Like, I'm curious what your take is on like what kind of content would drive people towards that experience, that future, or that world that you're talking about, where there isn't a lot of very minimal sales touch or calls is required to close big B2B sales.
Yes, I believe that from my experience, what I'm noticing is there's not enough problem solution oriented content on B2B websites. And if there is, you have to dig very deep to find it. So I was looking at a enterprise software website. I'm going to go back to it. I'm not going to state who they are, but I'm just going to look at it again for my memory and reference and tell you about their navigation and what they advertise.
Okay.
So they have the product drop-down menu, which is fairly standard.
Yeah.
They have a product overview link. Then they have the naming conventions of the product. When you go into the solutions menu, you see some really weird stuff. You see things like revenue data automation. What is that? Revenue strategy management. What is that?
Right.
I don't like that. And I'm going to just go into this revenue strategy management page. And it's literally just a page that says maximize revenue performance at every level. And then it says boost revenue precision. And then it says turn reps into quota crushers. I mean, I still don't know what this is. I still don't know. Quota crushers. I mean, I still don't know what the problem is. Right? I don't know what the problem is. I would love to just see a drop-down menu that says, here's the problems we solve, or problems we solve. And then talk about the problem and then weave in the solution. Like, I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah.
So I saw a really good example of this. I'm going to call out this brand because they deserve to be called out on this positively.
Okay. All right.
Let me just make sure I have it here. That's it. Yes. I know we're kind of going into this kind of off the cuff, but Lucidchart.
Lucidchart, yes. Yeah.
Lucidchart. Very good. Go to their solutions drop down. You're going to see by need. By need. And then you're going to see improve processes. Replace Visio. That's clever.
Yeah.
Visual technical systems. I kind of get more of a vibe here that they're taking more of a jobs to be done approach.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're basically able to solution what they offer by problem or by job to be done or by need.
Yeah.
I also like that they have by team. So, specifics around who are you. That's great. But I love the by need. I love the by need, right?
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. So I don't see enough of that. So in terms of what you're asking is like, how can marketing get better at, making it more value led? Shit like that. Don't call it revenue data automation. Call it problem.
Right. That is so good. This I've never saw in any other companies who organize it by. I've seen it by teams, but not by need, like by like those jobs that you mentioned. I'm gonna highlight this even more in other places, and this really kind of helps like segment. When people do that co-browsing experience, I bet you that the person on the other end, if they're smart, know what page they're coming from and know what problem they're having or who they're from. So you're from marketing because you came from this or from engineering, which kind of like this helps kind of support that co-browsing strategy. Is now what I'm calling it.
Co-browsing strategy, exactly. And dude, the other thing is, with the jobs to be done stuff, like don't make it super top level fluff.
Yeah.
Like don't make your drop down level, your drop down menu by need be like increase revenues, optimize costs. It's like, yeah,
Save time.
save time. Move,
Right.
deploy faster. Okay, yeah, great. But what's under that? The how is missing. What are we doing to get that outcome?
Right.
Ultimately, increased revenue is the outcome of everything.
Right.
So what is it that you're doing underneath that layer of the onion which makes it happen?
That makes sense. I love how you're talking about this. You're talking about jobs to be done, and like this focuses on like segmentation. On the content side, is there anything that can pull people towards those buy need products? I'm curious what you think about like more this is probably more. Would you say this is probably more like mid to bottom funnel value led content? What would like drive people towards these pages, I guess, so to speak? More.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like one example of like something that you might not consider to be like immediate like problem solving, but think about this. RFP template.
Mm,
If you're buying complex enterprise software, usually requires an RFP.
you're right.
And sometimes companies don't really have that on hand. So I've produced like, the
Interesting.
VoIP software RFP template,
Right.
the LMS RFP template. And that has been a gold mine, right? That's helpful and value led. Pain point, troubleshooting related content for technical products always kills it. So I did like a voice over IP troubleshooting guide, stuff like that. So X is not working. How do I fix it? VPN not working, all those kinds of things. That can funnel people into problem and pain.
Mm,
The other thing is like, I read this book, Gap Selling by Keenan.
yeah. Check that out.
Yeah, he promotes this concept of the problem identification chart in his book. And the idea is that like, let's say you're selling SEO services or SEO software. There's only so many problems people have. Like you should know every single possible problem. You should know the impact of the problem, and you should know the root causes associated with each problem.
Mm,
And that can be the actual beginning framework for a really powerful content strategy. For example, organic traffic is not producing revenue. This probably means you're just targeting all top of funnel topics,
right.
right? So producing pain solution oriented content around that theme. Yeah, we're investing in content, traffic is growing, but we're not producing any revenue. That is a powerful. It may be hard to identify that, in terms of a target keyword. Like you're not going to find that in a keyword research tool, but that is a real problem that buyers of SEO software would have. And so that can be a theme. So basically theming content around problems
Right.
rather than keywords could be a powerful way to drive them into that, buy need, jobs to be done based approach.
That makes sense. And this goes back to like once again you're kind of starting to declare the intent that those specific group of people, if they came through content around a specific job to be done or a problem or intent, and then they go to like you funnel them towards this page that is around that specific product page or solution page around that, and that gets them more, that's a lot of information for your sales and even your that co-browsing strategy to help them drive like, okay, I understand your problem because you checked out this content, this blog post, and now you're on this page. Here is how we can help you, is what I'm like exactly hearing from this like bigger content slash demand strategy rather than like being all over the place with keywords.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely one of the best ways. If your company records sales calls, then that's where you should be living. Just go into Gong and type problem to the transcription box and sort for all the sections of calls where the word problem comes up. You're going to be amazed at what you see.
Right.
You're going to see so many things in there. It's kind of a rabbit hole exercise because you're going to type problem. then you're going to start seeing, I'm just going to use the cybersecurity example. You're going to start seeing things like hack, dark web, password, all this kind of stuff. Then you're going to dive deeper into those sections and you're going to go into dark web. And then you're going to find what keeps coming up over and over again. Association with dark web is dark web alert. Now I'm realizing, okay, dark web alert. There's something about this. Customers are getting dark web alerts of Nor antivirus, but it's alerting them to the thing fast enough.
Right.
Or it's giving them not actionable advice on, hey, we did find a dark web alert. It's not clear on what needs to be done. Or I got a dark web alert and I was still hacked.
Right.
So that's automatic. Okay. It's a lot of content around the pains and problems associated with dark web alerts. What is a dark web alert? What happens if you get one? All that kind of stuff. So that's the way I approach the problem specific angles. Yeah.
And it almost feels like a web where like there's like the main idea, dark web alert, and then it kind of starts branching out almost like a spider map. Is that what you call it? Or like this mind map essentially of what
Exactly. Now, of course, you could probably find some of that with keyword research, but it might take you longer.
Yeah.
Or you may not find it at all. Who knows, right? You may get distracted. Listening to calls also tells you, like, if 30% of all inbound prospect calls talk about dark web, that's significant. That means we got to make that a pillar in our content strategy, right? If 50% of our calls are mentioning this, we got to make that part of it. So that's kind of the way I approach it.
And the other great thing about this is like people don't have to guess exactly what the term is, because like they've said it like straight from the customer or prospect's mouth as to like, is it dark web? Is it, something else? But you by starting from sales calls rather than quote unquote just keyword research, you're actually getting a ton more information because you're basing it off real life calls from people who are having that specific problems.
Exactly.
It's interesting you're saying this. I think you started like you have like this very strong like content and SEO and like demand background, and you're like, guys, start here rather than keyword research, which is, I'm sure there's a hot take there somewhere because a lot of SEOs way back there, I'm not sure, things are changing, it seems, because like what's happening with search generative stuff, but like I think this is a interesting take that you're having here.
Yeah, well, the other reality on that is it's just getting harder to rank. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer in SEO. That's just the way it goes. If you don't the brand power, the domain strength, the links, the mentions, right? Like all that stuff plays a huge factor. So if you're a small ball trying to go against the big dogs, yeah,
I like it.
Exactly. You have to go as long tail as possible. And it just so happens to be the case that pain point stuff happens to be very long tail. That's the way it goes.
It also seems like the larger a company becomes, the more, what did you call that company again? Like they start making up random words that doesn't make sense because they got the brand, but like there's a right? Is that something you've noticed where larger companies like end up like revenue attribution model? I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, exactly. I think they start listening too much to analysts and not enough to the voice of the customer.
Wow.
And that can be a huge problem.
Yeah.
That can be a huge problem. Like there was a guy named Dave Kellogg. He's like one of the really smart executive influencer guys in the world of B2B marketing. He produces a lot of like executive board level kind of content. And he had a really great quote. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it was something to the effect of like, let analysts be analysts. Product marketers should just listen to customers. Don't let the analysts influence, or rather, I guess you could say even to an extent, poison your thinking.
Wow.
Yeah, and it hit really well. I think that was like a perfect way to summarize it. So that revenue data automation stuff, like just save that for the birds.
I guess I think the other thing, yeah, you're right. I think they're by making up new terms, they're hoping to create. And I'm guessing you have this. I think I read somewhere around like creating a new category. You have I feel like you have a take there, or like creating that new category is super hard, and you're thinking like you're creating this new term and category. It's not really and it's not problem focused. It's not gonna fly as well.
Yeah. I mean, actually see too many people these days like pushing the whole create a category narrative. I think it's kind of going down. I think in terms of like where we are today, like efficiency and lean growth has become way more important than let's create a category. I think create a category has been associated with highly risky.
It is, yeah.
It's highly risky because if it fails, and I mean, you just wasted time, resources, money. The list kind of just goes on and on. So, yeah, I don't know if I have a strong opinion at the moment regarding category creation. I just seem to observe that it's far less important than it once was.
Yeah, I love that. Well, this is a great chat about this whole value-led content. I actually want to shift gears and talk about career power-ups. Now, you've been in marketing way over a decade, having worked with as growth advisor, marketing leader at companies like Cognism, Pipedrive, Nextiva. As both an advisor and marketing leader in some of these companies. I'm curious, what's a power up that's helped you accelerate your career? It could be something that is softer skills of marketing, or it could be like a very harder skill of marketing, so to speak.
It's a great one. It's a great one. Maybe I'll give you one soft skill, one hard skill. On the soft skill front, I would say that at kind of like an individual level, having a great mentor has really been huge.
Interesting.
There's really two guys I can think of. One guy, his name is Joshua Giardino. When I was really young in the marketing game, he saw me as someone that had a lot of potential, and he kind of just like took me under his wing. We worked together, then we separated in terms of like company, but we still kept in touch. And just having regular catch-ups, I mean, that has been so huge for me, and like just grew a bond and became really good friends. And then the CMO of Nextiva, Yaniv, like he taught me a lot. And he really definitely coached me on a lot of stuff, and he gave me room to spread my wings and kind of grow. So like having a mentor is huge. On the team leader side, the number one thing in terms of power up is get in the trenches with the team. Don't be too managerial. Don't be too high level strategy.
Yeah.
Don't be too cool to get your hands dirty. Earning the respect of the team is key. And there's no better way to do that than actually getting in the trenches, doing stuff, hosting workshops, landing page teardowns, keyword research analysis, deep dives in paid search. All that kind of stuff is key. That's the soft skill side for the power ups.
Yeah.
Mentor and be a player coach. On the hard skill stuff, I think the be a player coach actually leans into the hard skill, which is don't lose your abilities. Like, if you're a butcher, don't forget how to slice up a steak, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Good. If you're a guitar player, don't forget how to do a minor scale. Like keep the fundamentals sharp by practicing and utilizing the tool set that you have, the skill set that you have. You just become a strategy spreadsheet warrior. You'll forget how to use software and tools and how to get data. And I mean, dude, I once had a marketing leader that I reported into that didn't even know how to check how much traffic the site was getting.
Wow.
Would hit me up like, hey, how much traffic did we get this month? Like, are you kidding me? You don't know how to look that up yourself in 2 seconds? So that's the power up on the hard skill is actually by being a player coach, you stay up to date on the latest tools, on the latest techniques, what's working, what's not. For example, for me, the next thing I got to do is master GA4. I haven't done it yet. I need to get in there and figure that out. So it's, just like staying sharp with regard to the actual tool set. I think that is the best power up I can say for hard.
I'd like to double click on the first one around mentors. I've had some great mentors in my past, and some here who are more informal mentors, so to speak. It wasn't like, hey, you want to
Yep.
be my mentor? More like it just happened organically, where we just got caught up a few times. For people who are tuning in, who are like maybe younger in their career, do you have any tips for them to find mentor? Like, how did you find yours? Did it just happen organically, like it happened to mine, or they were my boss, or was it like you actually reach out to a few folks?
It definitely happened organically. I never made it like a priority to say, oh, I admire this person, I want them to mentor me.
Mm.
I guess that could work. I think it's harder to make that work. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
people are really busy today. I don't know who's going to take time out of their busy schedules to
Yeah.
just randomly mentor a
Unless you
random
pay them.
person. Unless you pay them, right? Exactly. So, my advice would be like, just let it happen organically
Mm.
through people you meet in companies, the bosses who you become like really close with, partners, whoever. Like, just try and latch on to people who you have good chemistry with and see where it goes. That's the best advice.
Mm. And you've been very generous. I think I saw that you tweeted that a lot of people have been asking you about like becoming an advisor or solopreneur, and I feel like that's the other side to it. Would be there are some people who have gone into a certain level who wouldn't mind spending like 5-10 minutes just chatting somebody younger, a younger marketer. So is that what you have been doing with your time, like especially if it's a younger marketer who might be just up and coming, so to speak?
Yeah, like everybody wants to quit their job and be an advisor now.
I saw that tweet. Especially
Yeah.
nowadays.
Especially nowadays. Like nobody wants to work for a company
Right.
anymore. They want to be the cool super consultant, work with all the cool companies,
Super
speak at all the events, get all the fame, all that kind of crap. And the way I would think about it is this. For me, this just kind of happened.
Mm.
I didn't wake up one day and say like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. I didn't have a plan for it either. So the way it all unfolded was that I kind of did the whole build in public thing while I was at companies.
Smart. Yeah.
I made it a point to like, no matter what full-time role I had as an in-house tech marketer, that I told myself going into it that my goal in here is not to graduate to become CMO of the company and raise myself in the corporate ladder system. It's let me get out of this company with a success story.
Mm.
I need to write a success story.
I like that.
So I'm not doing this for accolades on internal clapping or praise. I'm not even expecting to get a huge salary increase or whatever. My goal is not to stay here for 10 years and rise through the ranks. My goal is to stay here for like 3 years, crush it, and have an insane success story for myself. When I came in, here was the landscape. When I left, here was the landscape.
Right.
All the stuff that happened in between, this is what we did to make that happen. And then publish that. People say, wow, this guy went into a tough environment. He, was dealing with all this crap. He had the cards dealt against his favor, and he was able to come out, and defy the odds and accomplish this really cool thing. Whether that's pipeline growth, whether that's traffic growth, that's content strategy implementation and technical stuff, whatever the case may be. And while you're doing that in public, you start to grow a network little by little by little by little. And so doing that 3 consecutive times over like 5-6 years, the next natural progression was, well, I'm kind of well known enough at this point. I have enough credibility.
Right.
I've got a good foundation.
Yeah.
I think it kind of makes sense to just do some consulting. And that has a natural flywheel effect in that you do great work for a client. You publish a case study on that, or you share great results. Then you get referrals. Then more people come inbound asking you for help. Then you become well known for solving that paid search, SEO, inbound growth, whatever. And then it just kind of keeps going. And so I don't ever really have, I'm blessed to say I don't have to do outbound. I can sustain myself on my own just through the referral system. So that's the advice in terms of like, if you actually do want to think about, going on your own, so to speak, you got to have a little something behind you. You can't just wake up from day one and make this happen, because it's hard. Clients care a lot about credibility and track record. If you don't have that, it's going to be really tough to convince them that you're the right choice. Even if you run a flawless sales process and your offer is super compelling, you're going to lose to a guy like me 9 out of 10 times. I hate to say it, but they're much more often going to choose me just because I've got the credentials. So that's just what it comes down to, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's less risk. I think that's why people buy software that it's not actually great experience. It's just because it has a bigger brand name. I don't want to call it any software products because they might get mad at me. But like exactly that, like they're buying you because you are trusted, and it did risk the situation where like, hey, I'm hiring this guy, Gaetano. It's like, why? Well, he's worked with a bunch of companies that we know of, Nextiva. There's a bunch of other stuff here. He's done this. He's achieved this. Versus somebody who has not achieved that. So I think that's exactly what I would suggest to folks to build an audience before you make the leap. I think it kind of de-risks the situation, and build a persona or a personal brand like what you have been doing. So
yeah. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate that. To your point on it, it's like the old that timeless saying, nobody ever got fired for buying IBM.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's the saying. Yeah,
I think that's probably what you had in mind. Not to say that I'm not nothing like IBM.
Imagine
but
that.
to your point, it's like, you bought a trusted name brand that's probably going to be more likely to get support throughout a company. Rather than, hey, we want to buy this no-name startup tool. It's like, I've never heard of that. You know what I mean? So it's like,
if you enjoyed this episode, you'd love the Marketing Powerups newsletter. I share the actionable takeaways and break down the frameworks of world-class marketers. You can go to marketingpowerups.com to subscribe, and you'll instantly unlock the 3 best frameworks that top marketers use to hit their KPIs consistently and wow their colleagues. I want to say thank you to you for listening, and please like and follow Marketing Powerups on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. If you're feeling extra generous, kindly leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and leave a comment on YouTube. It goes a long way in others finding out about Marketing Powerups. Thanks to Mary Sullivan for creating the artwork and design, and thank you to Faisal Kaigo for editing the intro video. And of course, thank you for listening. That's all for now. Have a powered up day.
Marketing Power-Ups. Until the next episode,